Good day, everyone. This is Rita Choi, founder of Asia HRM. Asia HRM is an human resources community in Asia focusing on leadership and coaching. We have a group of expert trainers in training in leadership and coaching, helping organizations build a high-performing team. Besides that, we also make coaching as part of employees' well-being. If you want to know more, just let us know. As a continuation of the webinars, a series of webinars on challenges faced by top HR leaders in Hong Kong, identified in the recent survey, this is our third last session in our Hong Kong series. As we believe that all these challenges are not alone in Hong Kong, we love to have insights and sharing from our counterparts of other countries. Therefore, in collaboration with HRM Asia, we have going to make it as an Asia HR Leaders Series, with the next stop is Singapore. So the launch date for Singapore is the 19th of November. If you want to know more about that, just stay with us. Back to our webinar for today, HR Survival Mode. In this slowing economy, how are we going to use our limited resources to maximize our value in our organization? We are just so happy that we have invited an HR leader who is going to share with us her insights in this area. Ms. Mukha Arora, Chief Human Resources Officer, Asia Pacific for Societe Generale. She has been a human resources professional for over 27 years, working for different industries and locations in Asia Pacific. She worked in Hong Kong as regional head of talent development and inclusion since 2010 and as head of human resources for Southeast Asia for her current company in Singapore for 4 years before being appointed and also promoted as the Chief Human Resources Officer, Asia Pacific, now based in Hong Kong. Besides being a human resources leader, she is also a certified coach accredited by the International Coaching Federation. Same as me, I'm also a certified coach by ICF. Besides that, she's also an author for 4 books until now, meaning that she's going to author more. Maybe after this session, I'm going to get some tips from her on how to be a successful book author. Without further ado, I would love to pass the control to Mukha so that we can get more collection wisdoms from her. Mukha, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita, for this really nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about the topic of how to deliver maximum value with minimal resources in HR. And this is something which is a topic closer to my heart because this is what in my current role or in my past role, we were always looking at. Why? Because we look at our business. I work in a big company. However, I look at the company as my own business. So if it was my own business, where are the things that I'm going to be investing? What are the things that I should be looking at to make sure that there is the maximum value? So I think that's the mindset which we all should have in human resources before we implement any policies, before we implement any benefits. Because if we don't think like this, then we are basically treating it as somebody else's resources. And it's not the same, when it is your own business. Let's go to the next slide and we see the topics that I'm going to be looking at is key takeaways for strategic impact. I'll be focusing on 7 areas in this particular presentation. We go to the next slide and let's just look at the impactful areas which are required. So can we go to the next slide, please? So as an introduction, we always face resource constraint. I don't know about you, but in most of the organizations that I hear from my friends or where I have worked, we are seen as support function. And I do not think we are support functions. We are an enabler. And if we are seen as a support function, you will always be questioned about the budget, the manpower, the time that is spent on certain things. The strategic management, if we actually look at that, it will ensure that HR continues to deliver value, because our role, what I see is not just to get things done, but actually be part of the decision making, the strategic decision making that the any company has, whether it is expansion, whether it's reduction, whether it's optimization. I think we deliver a lot of value. So how, under 7 key areas, we can look at how we can give value to the organization through minimal resources. I'm not saying that it is no resources, because we do need resources. The aim is to find where to focus on. And for me, I think that's a very important point. Prioritize. We will have 1,000 things to do, but how do we actually prioritize on what is urgent, what is important? It's an age old method, that the matrix which is there, where you have the urgency and the importance. And sometimes I hear HR colleagues telling me that, but everything is urgent and everything is important. Sometimes it's true, but if we look at it and if we categorize, if we look at all the criteria, we will find that you will still have some things which are really urgent, something which are long term, which are important, something which are adding value maybe in 10 years, but some things which are adding value right now. So again, for us, we really need to identify, we really need to prioritize. And let me help you to prioritize some of those things. Let's go to the next slide and we look at these areas. The first one is on prioritizing high impact areas, where we align HR initiatives with organizational goal. Now, I'm not talking of this which is new to you. We all know, we all talk about alignment. But what is really important is focus on HR areas that drive business outcome. So, for example, a very simple example is, if we are expanding, if your company is expanding in a new market, we need to make sure that we have the right resources or the right expertise to hire in that market, to make sure that we understand the labor laws correctly and we can advise the business on the investment that we are making from the business front. We have to really focus ourselves in terms of knowing what the company is planning to do. So when we talk of the strategic objectives and the roadmap for the company, as HR, first of all, we need to be fully aware of what is it that we are trying to do. Yeah, where we are expanding, where we are contracting, because again, like everybody else, so all the businesses, there is a trade-off. You have $100, you need to split it, say, across Asia Pacific. Now, as the CEO or as a management team, it will be a decision of where to invest 20, where to invest 30, where to invest 40. Same in HR. When you know what are the most important organizational goals, you decide, if you have a 10% team or a 5% team, what is the time allocation of your team to a one which is 40% for the business. Then you allocate more resources there. And the others, which are, for example, are BAU, can you do something else? And we will talk about one of the option later. In my HR team, so I have a HR team across Asia Pacific. Now, if I have a certain business which gives 80% of the market share, 80% of the total revenue for the bank in Asia Pacific, I will make sure that I have a number of resources which are dedicated to developing, retaining, and servicing the internal partners. Those are in that area. Yeah. If a business for me is only contributing 5%, we still need to give quality service, but I will have maybe lesser resources which are dedicated to that particular business. Now, I'm not saying that the quality will suffer. It's a question of quantity sometimes, and it's a question of the amount of time that you as a HR person will spend on them. So very important alignment with the business. Data, and this is again, it's not new. I think data is extremely important. If you know what kind of data you have a clean data. If you know from your data analysis, where are we investing more money, where are the things which require more investment, you will be able to give an advice which is likely to enhance the business of the company, and HR will be more valued. So for example, you have data which is related to medical expenses, and we all know that medical expenses on the in the companies, with the inflation that we see, the medical inflation that we see, keep on rising every single year. If you have data to show what kind of people are utilizing most of your medical benefits, if you have flexible benefits, what are the kind of um, diseases, or what are the kind of treatments that people are looking at more, you will know where to invest. Maybe you can negotiate better, with your brokers, to say that, okay, this is my demographics, these are the kind of treatments people are looking for, these are the kind, like for maternity for example, or for heart diseases, or for other things that people are using. Maybe we should focus more on this, and maybe less on, I don't know, dental or something else. So again, for me, data can throw a number of things. It tells a story. Data tells a story. And if we know that we have the same amount of money that we can utilize in one area versus another. So, for example, if I have been told that your budget remains the same over the next 4 years, what I need to do is I need to analyze the data for medical benefits, for retirement benefits, for maternity, for other things, and try to see that if this is my demographics, I focus more on this versus this, because I don't have additional money, but I can take from here and put there. And I will talk about this trade off again and again, because this is what it is. If I only have an income of 100, I need to decide which pocket I put more money in. Yeah. And for HR, it's the same. We need to decide whether we need to invest more in employer branding, whether we need to invest more in training, whether we need to invest more in medical benefits and all. If we only have a limited amount, which is not going to change, then this is the trade off you need to do, and data will really help you in that. Let's go to the next slide and now look at our budget and maximizing manpower. Now, budgets, as I said, these are the times when the budgets remain flat, or maybe every year as HR, we are being asked to reduce the budgets because we want to increase the NBI, but we want to reduce the costs. We want to have more profitability. And if companies needs to sustain, this is something which will do. If it was your own business, you will do the same. You will try to reduce the cost, but still not compromise on quality. And I really want to emphasize on that. Quality cannot be emphasized. We still need to have quality people. We still need to have quality services to people. Now it's a question of, how can we make our money run a longer mile. Yeah. So invest in scalable, cost effective tools. Now this is sometimes, for example, we can look at tools which will be in the first year, the second year, the investment is there, but over the years you can see that they are going to either reduce manpower or the time spent in certain activities. Now, if you're part of a bigger organization, I mean, it's easier because then it gets spread out over a number of things. But if you're a smaller organization, I can understand that it could be a little bit tricky. However, in today's day and generation, with a lot of HR tech, lot of HR technology companies which are coming up, there are so many cost effective scalable tools that are available. Open your mind, look at them and invest in them. And frankly, I think whether you are a 50-person company, whether you're a 200-person company, whether you are a 500-person company, I think there are tools available everywhere. I actually receive a lot of information through LinkedIn, but also through people writing about the products that they have. And for me, this will happen if we really do an open-minded, survey of the things that are available. So for me, it is very important. Manual is not the way to go at all. So I'm a firm believer that tools are the way for us to go forward in HR. Anything that is manual, we are living in the past. We are living 40 years ago, not even 20, So I think that's important. Outsourcing selectively. There are certain things which do not require an onshore person, okay, or person who is sitting in the office interacting with the business. So for me, we need to, and this is something which may differ from company to company, You may have, if you are a high touch HR company where you want close proximity with the business, you need to make sure that your HR business partners, that people who are in key positions in HR, for example, for risk identification, for, I don't know, for recruitment, one or two people you need to make sure that they are part of your core team. But maybe there are certain things that can be outsourced. We already know about the payrolls and all those kind of things that have been outsourced, but there are also sometimes advisory things related to, I don't know, compensation benefit, for example. Do we really need to have somebody onshore in our office, to do this role? Can we, for example, have one person who is the main person, but can part of it can be all outsourced, to make sure that we are saving money and saving time, and also being more efficient, because that is very important. You need expertise, and nowadays there are a lot of contingent workforce which is available, who can give you specialized services. So outsourcing for me, and selective outsourcing for me, is really important, and it does reduce overhead. So as an organization, I think it's important to look at our HR processes and see what is it that we can do, we can give out, we can keep inside, and then work collaboratively. It's not easy, because you need to have a good amount of collaboration between the outsourced companies as well as the internal staff, to make sure everything runs properly. So for me, one of my main mantra for that is, have the right people in the right place. Yeah, invest in people who have the expertise in your area in HR. Make sure that they are given the right amount of support, and they are the ones then who will make it happen. They are the ones who will decide on what are the things that you need to outsource, what are the things that you need to be here, what are the tools that you need to use, and all. So it's extremely important to have the right people at the right time. If you do not have the right people in your HR team, I don't think any of this will work. Yeah. So that's important. The second is maximizing manpower. So in our company, we have done a lot of double hatting, a lot of double, triple hatting. And again, for me, it doesn't work for everyone. You need to have the right people. And that's why I'm coming back to that, who can and who are interested to do few things. So for example, some of the examples, I have my co-head of talent development and inclusion, who is also the head of HR for Taiwan, which is a smaller entity. So she's able to do both. My head of HR for Southeast Asia is also the head of compensation for the region. But again, because she also has the profile where she's interested in the compensation topic, and she can handle it along with her teammates, who are there. So for me, with the cross training, and when you cross train employees, you're also enhancing their employability, and it's also very helpful for the organization to build flexibility in times of attrition, in times when we have to have less people and all. So for me, I find it extremely important, because it's career development, and you have to make sure that you're compensating the person, proportionately, when you give them more jobs and roles, and also give them the support to train them. So it's quite important when we are doing and maximizing manpower, to cross train, but also give the support from your side. Tap into internal talent pools for project needs. So some companies do that, and we are looking at it also, where we are trying to pool certain resources within HR, where they can be cross trained again, and make sure that when there is a lean time for one particular area, then they can focus on the area where we have a lot of demand of work, or there are long hours which are there. I find this flexible internal talent pool very important and very interesting, because again, we are increasing the employability, because the employees learn different skills, and also decide what they may want to do in the longer run. But for an organization, it's a ready pool of talent, which is available. This again requires training, it requires somebody to manage the talent pool, but it can be done. So for me, this can be really helpful in maximizing manpower and using limited resources when you have limited resources and no option. Let's go to the next slide and look at technology. It's a no brainer. Automating routine tasks, onboarding, using macros, using tools which are there, extremely important. AI, it can be used to, for example, uh, if you have reports like employee satisfaction survey, yeah, you have 50 pages of report, you do it with an external vendor. Now in HR, sometimes we have to analyze it. If you have a internal chat gpt, because I know a lot of companies may have firewalls and they cannot use the public AI tools which are there, you can, and if your company can introduce that, which is not difficult nowadays, you can get a summary in few seconds. Yeah, when your recruitment team is writing to candidates, they can use AI to really draft, the messages that they want to send. We can save so much time. When we are making presentation, we can use with our keywords, we can use AI to really prepare for us at least the framework, and then we can, embellish it. So for me, extremely important, of automation, of use of AI to do certain things, use of HR analytics, and I spoke about the data earlier. This is for me extremely important. If you really do not have it, you need to start now, because once you have the analytics, you can decide what you can do more of for employee satisfaction, for supporting the business, and what you should drop, because we cannot do everything. So we have to learn to say no, and I know it's very difficult. I'm the same. For me, I like to say yes to all what the business wants, but it's extremely important. If we do not have the bandwidth, if HR analytics are guiding us in a different direction than what the business wants, we have to show the data and tell people that, okay, this is not required, let's not look at it. Yeah, adopting cloud-based platforms for scalability, this is for bigger organization, but it can also be for everybody else, and this is nothing new. But for me, technology is important. And one thing about technology is that if you have a HRIS system, have one HRIS system which can do all the other things. You should not have multiple HRIS systems which are not talking to each other, and it increases the work. It also makes sure that we are doing a lot of manual work. So if you are implementing something or changing something, please make sure that you have one HRIS system which can do talent, succession, evaluation, your data management, and everything else, and learning together. This is my wish list, and we are working on it in our organization to make sure that we have a unified approach for this one. But technology is the way to go. And also, what is important then for the HR teams is to be tech savvy. Even though some of us may not be from the tech savvy generation, we have to learn it. And so many resources are available nowadays to learn about it. For me, it is a non-negotiable thing, which is on technology. Let's go to the next one and look at engagement, flexibility, and collaboration. And I think for making sure, when you have minimal resources, you have to make sure that the engagement is definitely there. Recognizing contribution, maintaining morale through transparent communication, extremely important in an organization of HR where we are maximizing value with limited resources. If people are not motivated, and I think as HR, we need to know what motivates people, and it's not one size which fits all. So as a leader, I think the leaders have to make sure that they know what motivates each and every person who is contributing in HR. Flexibility, extremely important again. Adapt policies and practices to changing needs. I think one of the thing which is maybe sort of a downfall of HR is sticking on to legacy policies and things which have been happening for thousands of years. Why? Things are changing, economy has changed, organizations are changing, then why should we not change? And I think we should question everything in HR. We should question, okay, this policy is there, but why was it there? Was there a reason that this policy was formulated? And can we look at it in a different way? Can we simplify it? And for me, I think that question, that adaptability is extremely important, because things that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago may not be required right now. So flexibility is important. And the last one on collaboration, which is sharing resources across team for foster open communication and trust. And this is something which is subjective, but it is extremely important. If there's no trust in the HR team, if people are fighting with each other, they are not supporting each other, not sharing resources, this is never going to happen. For me, for a HR team to be value adding in a constrained environment, the cohesion has to be there, the teamwork has to be there. And I think for the leader to make sure that they are leading by example in not promoting non cohesion and promoting teamwork. So, extremely important factor, subtle but non negotiable again. Let's go to the next slide. And this is my conclusion because we have limited time. Maybe if you want to talk about it, we can discuss offline. But finally, efficient resource allocation is not about doing less, but doing what matters most. I think this is important. We are not doing less, and nobody is doing less in today's day and age. But what matters most, where you have the high impact. Yeah, this is what is important. HR can be strategic driver even with limited resources, as we saw. If we focus on some of those areas and be very clear about what we are supposed to deliver, I think we can be strategic drivers. So we need to lead with clarity, creativity, and collaboration because solution oriented mindset is the only way we can work in HR with limited resources and create maximum impact. So thank you. And now I'm open for questions. Rita, I'm done with the presentation. Are there any questions?
Okay, Mutta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Thank you so much for the great insights that you shared, right? Now we don't have to be afraid of limited resources as long as we can prioritize the high impact areas by aligning the business needs and also use data to tell stories. I particularly love your the way to maximize manpower by cross-training employees, right? By doing so, basically we enhance their employabilities and also develop them further into something which of interest to them and at the same time can bring value to the organization. I really love that. You have given us a lot of different ways to enhance our value in our organization. And at the end of the day, we have to do it through people, right? Collaboration, being flexible, and also enhancing staff engagement is something which is very important for us to work on in order to move
Yeah.
the company ahead. Very nice, very nice. So I do have a question for you. Although we only have 3 minutes left, so I do have
Yeah.
a question for you. You mentioned about staff engagement, right? Can you share with
Yes.
us some of the creative ways to maintain staff engagement without a big budget? Because of
Yes.
such a conflict, right? Can you share
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
creative ways?
Frankly, sometimes we don't need money for engagement. If there is money, it's always good. For me, I feel that as a HR leader, one thing is to have one-on-ones with my team members on a regular basis. I do have a large team, but I do make sure that twice a year I have one-on-one with everybody. My direct reports, I have, of course, more frequent interactions, and I think knowing about the personal part of your employees, what makes them tick, it is important. Even wishing for on birthdays of your employees when they come up with when they do a good job, just sending a small note to say that thank you for contributing to this. When I have, for example, meetings with senior management and I invite some of my team members to present and they do a good thing, I always would give them feedback on how they have done. So simple things like providing visibility in front of senior management, whom your team members may not see. Yeah. Giving them lead, to do some projects where they will interact with, say, I don't know, the teams in Paris, teams in London, or teams within Asia Pacific. I think those kind of things, the recognition can be done without any money, but it is something which is really meaningful for people. One of the thing I always find is that being kind when people have a tough time, it could be a personal tough time to people where it may impact their business performance or their team performance. I think really understanding about it. I'm not saying that we keep it for a long time and people take advantage of you. I think as a leader we need to understand where people are taking advantage, where people have genuine needs which are there. Can we support them? Yeah. If they are going through a treatment which is hindering their performance, can we really be kind enough to talk to them and understand what is going through their time? Can we give them a time off? I think these are the simple things that we can do, and this helps to engage people together. And the other thing which I really want to highlight is that as a leader we need to discourage people talking about each other behind their back, because that kills team spirit. Yeah. For me, when I have situations like this, when there are conflicts in the teams, I sit together with them. I tell them, okay, let's sit together. Tell me what issue you have, what issue the other person has, and we try to sort it out now, because our goal is to progress. And if we have these kind of little conflicts, it will not happen. And this can happen, I mean, you don't need any money for that, but it can really create that team spirit, because then people stop then complaining, because they know if they complain to me, I will bring both of them together. So
Uh,
that is true. And of course, sometimes I don't take the budget constraint is everywhere, but I would invest from my side. We go for coffee or we go for a little walk outside the office and just talk about things. Sometimes I invite people to my place, for dinner, and I think that little personal touch can help
mm,
in a way in creating that relationship. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. I absolutely love doing it, and I feel that the team also likes it. When you have something which is different from only the official work that is there. Yeah.
wow, very nice, right? More personal touch and be people centric, right? And
Yes.
enhance their visibility and give them feedback and recognition. Wow, very nice, very
Yes.
nice. Never, never
Yeah.
speak ill of someone behind somebody's back.
Yes.
To
Yes.
avoid
And
any
bring them
conflict.
together. Bring
That's
them
right.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. So, Mutta, thank you so much for an insightful session. Now we are at the end of this session. Any closing remarks for us?
For me, the closing remark is that as HR, we have a lot of value to provide to the organization. And as I mentioned, if we do not know the business, what the business is aiming at, we will never be able to provide value. So the first thing first is really understand from the management team, and we are part of the management team, really pay attention to what is the focus area for the company, and then define our own strategy with our HR team, which is there. And I can tell you that a lot of companies value HR because, and they look us to up for advice. If we do not give good advice, they will not ask us again. So it's a chicken and egg, and it's for us to manage the expectations, but also provide value added services by understanding the business well and treating our company as our own business.
Wow, very nice. Provide valuable advice to the organization, right? And treat the company as our own. Very, very nice. Thank you so much, Mutta, for the wonderful session. And next Wednesday, we will continue with our webinar. And next Wednesday, we have invited a speaker to talk about psychological safety. So stay tuned with us and see you next week. Thank you, Mutta, again. Thank you. Have a nice day to everyone.
Everyone, bye.
Bye.